Good evening, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Happy Sunday night. My name's Andy Owen, and tonight it's WHF Tier 1, and we head off to Emilia-Romagna for Imola and round 5 of the WHF Tier 1 division. I'm joined tonight by our good friend, Mr. GB Sanderson. GB, how are you doing?
Hello, I am bunged up with cold, but other than that, it is good to be back. I've had a week off like yourself. It is very nice to be back in the commentary box tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We're both very well rested, so expect lots of shouting and hollering and excitement tonight, ladies and gentlemen, as we make our way around Imola. Imola is obviously the track that is next up for this evening. However, we just wanted to remind you of the calendar for this coming rest of the season as we head to Portugal next week for round 6, one of my favourite tracks. We're then in Qatar at Losail in round 7. Round 8, we head to Spa. Not one of my favourite tracks, it has to be said. Round 9 will be Bahrain at Sakhir. It's Suzuka for round 10, 31st of March. Then we finish up at the United States and then Brazil for the last 2 rounds. So we're approaching the halfway point. Interestingly, we have had a couple of little changes in terms of the Tier 1 driver lineup, GB. Do you want to talk us through it?
Yes, so you will potentially notice, if you've been keeping up with this season, we have a new face at Aston Martin in Acura. He has been reserved for a few races this season, been doing fantastically well, and finds himself all the way up in third in the standings. He has taken an Aston Martin seat full time, and there's also Supply Raptor, who is well known to some of the drivers in this league already, and he will be taking up an Alpine seat. Two very quick drivers joining the lineup, so it will certainly, we hope, provide competition at the front. But unfortunately, neither of them here today, so won't get to see them in their new colours just yet.
Oh, interesting news from Imola. In the chat, we've got the weather forecast. It's weather forecast showing dry quali and possibly a wet race. But we'll get a confirmation on the grid. Interesting. We do like a little bit of spice, GB, in terms of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Imola can throw up some weather. It has done in recent years, where I believe it was actually cancelled one year due to flooding in recent years.
Yeah.
So it is known for throwing a curveball or two, and we'll have to see how it goes for our drivers tonight, because we have a full grid. It should be very interesting.
We've had our first prediction in chat from Zampa. He says an arrow podium and Ollie to shart in the car on lap 12. Interesting.
I have heard Ollie is also a bit like myself, a little bit under the weather. He is thrown up 5 times today,
Wow.
according to the man himself. So we wish him a speedy recovery with whatever he is suffering from at the moment.
We do indeed. We do indeed. Neither of us were last week, mate, for the Dutch Grand Prix. However, looking at the race classification from Zandvoort, Cookie won yet again his 3rd win of the season. Supply Raptor finishing in 2nd, Acura 3rd, Jason Gordon in 4th with Ultra Titan in the Alfa Romeo in 5th, Parallel Harry in the Alpine 6th with Cloud in the Mercedes in 7th, with what I can see is a 10-second penalty against his name, GB. Any news on that?
So I believe, off the top of my head, that was for a bit of a dodgy safety car restart, it's safe to say. He got given a 10-second penalty for unsafe accelerating, braking, etc. Caused a bit of chaos behind him, and that did drop him from 3rd place on the row after a bit of contact with Cookie. Cost him a chance to the win on the final lap. He crossed the line in 3rd, but as you say, that 10 seconds dropped him all the way down to 7th, so very costly mistake for the man in the Mercedes.
Yeah, we are underway, by the way, at Emilia-Romagna, so we will be with the drivers throughout qualification very shortly. However, just to finish off that race classification from last week, it was Ollie JL77 in the Red Bull in P8, Pyox King in P9 in the AlphaTauri, and the Ferrari of the one and only WHF Arrow finishing in 10th. Fastest lap was Cloud. Drivers' standings then, as it currently stands, 3 drivers who aren't with us this evening are the top 3 people in the standings, GB.
Yeah, so it's fairly close at the top. Cookie does have what is somewhat of a commanding lead, you'd say, of 17 points. But as you say, Cookie not here with us tonight. He's just done a 4 hours of Daytona race, so is a little bit tired. Cloud, just I think more out of respect for his competitor, is not racing tonight, and Acura was unavailable. So Titan is your highest man up. In fact, both Alfa Romeos are the 2 highest men in the standings. So a huge opportunity for those 2 to gain some valuable points and try and throw their hats in the ring in the title fight.
No, absolutely. And as we've seen, the drivers standing there all the way down to TIR Codzilla down in the McLaren in 10th place on 25 points. We can look at the constructors standing. And talking of commanding leads, the Oracle Red Bull Racing... Try and say that when you've had a few beers. The Oracle Red Bull Racing Team on 142 points, way out in front of that said Alfa Romeo team on 95. So an opportunity, as you said, for Alfa Romeo to close the gap in on that Red Bull team.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see lower down the field, it's all very tight as well for the likes of McLaren, AlphaTauri, Haas and Williams at that back end. Only 11 points between those 4 teams. And with some of the big boys missing tonight, there is a big opportunity for bigger points than you would normally expect perhaps for them. So real opportunity further down the for those people that have turned up and are regulars to try and claw their way back in. But as you see, we're now looking at the live action. A few lap times on the board. About half the field have set a lap so far. Luxury, a man in a much need of a change of form at the moment. Currently on a provisional pole with about 12 minutes to go in the session. He has certainly been struggling this season. Unfortunately, Tim finds himself right down at the bottom of the championship. So, yeah, really big opportunity for him tonight to kickstart his season.
Yeah, absolutely. Good opportunity with some of those top drivers missing. And Luxury obviously had been tipped at the beginning of the season to have a good season. So, yeah, an opportunity for him to make inroads into these guys up in front of him in the championship. Jason Gordon Ferrari currently second, Jaden Lomax third. Not much between the top 6 drivers, not much between the top 7 drivers, really, as there are 8 tenths, but obviously we've got a couple of larger gaps. But yeah, I'm expecting as this session progresses, GB, those times to get much, much closer to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is one man on this list that I'm really looking forward to see what he can do. And that is a man currently sat down in 20th, as I see Jamie Dwyer has left the session. I'll get him back in. But yeah, the man currently sat in 20th and sat in the pit lane, Axe. He is a name that some people may already know if they are into their F1 esports and stuff like that. But Axe is a very, very quick driver. So keep an eye out for him tonight. I think he has to be one of, if not the hot favourite out there at the moment. And yeah, he is ridiculously quick normally.
Right, well, that's one for me to keep an eye on then. As Craig Conley makes a massive error towards the back end of Sector 2. That's going to be him pulling out and restarting his lap. Michael Lewis, he's invalidated. We've got SSR Halo. He looks like he's on a lap. Looks like he's at a purple Sector 1 as it showed up then. What I really like about this track, GB, is that track limits play a part. So setup's really important, and consistency of driver around this track will play a part when it comes down to track limits penalties towards the back end.
Yeah, absolutely. Those chicanes can be very prone to warnings to track limits at turns 2 to 4 through Tamburello, and then you've got Villeneuve at 5 and 6. Very quick chicanes, you sweep through them left to right, and it is very easy to run out wide. Also, as you just see with Halo coming out the final corner, that is also an easy place to run it a little bit too wide. Try and get on the power too early, can carry you out over the track limits and sometimes into the gravel, so it's definitely one to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you what, GB, you're on board with TIR Codzilla as he starts his lap. Well, I say starts, he's halfway through Sector 2. So do you want to talk us through the rest?
Yeah, he's currently at Aqua Minerale at the moment. It's one of the most famous corners on the calendar. A tricky downhill braking zone, but he negotiated it well. Coming up to the infamous corner of Charles Leclerc, where he binned it into the wall and almost retired the car a few years ago. At turns 14 and 15, down the hill, past the famous houses, right on the edge of the circuit. You can see them there in the background. I wonder how much it would cost to live in one of those. What a sight that is on race day. But coming up to the line, Godzilla in the McLaren. Across the line goes P9, just ahead of his teammate by about a tenth and a half with 1:15.4.
Yeah, absolutely. Good lap from Codzilla as now Budbo was almost a couple of tenths up coming through Sector 1 then. Round this tight left turn. That's a place where you can invalidate and bin it actually into the wall on the left-hand side if you're not too careful. Through Aqua Minerale. I think it's going to be a struggle for me tonight, GB. I don't seem to be able to get my words out. And that's an invalidation, absolutely cutting across.
Just took a little bit too much a curb there. And as you say, invalidates his lap. So we'll remain P8 for the time being. We've got F1 Mallard just starting his second lap of the session. Currently sat in P7. And we'll keep an eye on him as he comes through turns 2 and 3. Turn 1 is a very flat out corner. You then come up to the chicane at Tamburello, and he's negotiated that well so far. Now through Villeneuve, taking a lot of each curb, using all of the track available to him. but luckily not invalidating it. 3 sets to 1. He was slightly slower than his personal best, almost a tenth down so far. Now rising up the hill through the fast left-hander of turn 9 at Piratella, and then down the hill into Andy's favourite corner, Aqua Minerale. It comes down into the braking zone a little bit deep. Doesn't quite hit the apex there at turn 12, but he's
I'm just going to
still
call it mineral
keeping the
water
lap
from now
clean.
on.
It may be the easiest way of doing it. Mallard still down on his time, I believe. There, I didn't quite see, but
it was 2/10
yeah,
down his time. I would imagine that he's probably going to back out of that one. As
yeah.
Cintrix, by the way, Cintrix in the Red Bull has managed to pull out a 1:14.1 into the last 7 minutes of quali. So he's provisional pole. Jason Gordon,
Yes.
he's 7 seconds. He's just about to start a new lap in the Ferrari by the look of it. So.
One man potentially worth to keep an eye on, as well as Ollie, currently P18, coming down towards the 2 Ravatsas at the end of the lap. We'll keep an eye on his time as he comes through Ravatsa 2. Doesn't invalidate, keeps it nice and tight to the pit wall as he comes up to the line, goes P8 for the Red Bull, so just about a second off of his teammate there, but a decent bank lap to get inside the top 10. He'll be happy with that. But
Yeah, 2000s behind Mallard as well.
Yeah, very tight between those guys at the moment, and only 2 drivers yet to set a lap time at the moment, those being arguably 2 of the quickest ones as well. BRL Ritzy and Axe yet to set their times, with just over 6 minutes to go in the session. I expect we'll be seeing them out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Let's see how Billion Penguin handles mineral water. Then as he comes up to the end of Sector 2, he was 9 thousandths up. He's now nearly 2/10 down on his time, so he needs a magnificent Sector 3 if he's going to improve. Doesn't look good, though, for the Haas driver.
Yeah, interestingly, I think Billy and Penguin's actually on a second run on these tyres. I believe it's his second lap, because looking at his ERS, he is pretty much out of battery, and yeah, pulls into the pits there. So I think he was seeing if his second run would be any better, and unfortunately not for him there. Elsewhere, one man we haven't really mentioned much, who is doing particularly well at the moment, is Jaden Lomax in P4 in the Williams. We've just seen him, I mean, commentator's curse, he just invalidated at Aqua Minerale, but Jaden very quietly going about his business so far, which, fair play to him. P4 in the Williams, it is only, well, he's raced in every race so far this season, but only finished 2 of them so far, his best being a P8 at Hungary, so like I say, quietly going about his business, finds himself up in P4 and not far off pole at the moment, only about 2/10 off.
No, exactly. Good stuff from him. It'd be nice to see him get something out of this race as well. Speaking of second runs, Codzilla, currently sat with a 15.4, 2/10 up through Sector 1, invalidates at Piratelli.
Just ran a little bit wide. There, like you said, you mentioned it earlier, it's prone to invalidating around that part of the lap, and yeah, he's certainly not had the ideal run through there whatsoever.
No, next man on camera, yes, is indeed SSR Halo. He is 2.5 tenths up. This would get him towards P12. If he can string a good Sector 3 in, maybe he can push towards Budbo P11. Seems to go around the last 2 corners pretty decent. Not the best we've seen tonight, but still. And actually goes 5 tenths, nearly 6 tenths quicker to take himself up into P9. Williams sitting pretty in P4 and P9. We like the look of that so far.
Yeah, and next man coming around is going to be Moza in the Haas, currently sat in P6, but is a lot down on his lap, so we won't need to keep an eye on that too much. I reckon he might go for a second go here, though, with 3 minutes left in the session, so we'll keep an eye on him. But yeah, as you say, Williams sitting really pretty at the moment, but look at the gap between Mallard, Ollie and Halo, just 7 thousandths between P7 and P9 at the moment. That is ridiculously close in that midfield.
Yeah, that's incredible. Tight gaps. And here comes another one. Nearly a full second for Michael Luis. Michael Luis up into P12, 15.3 for him. Budbo
It's
is
the first time, I
7.5
think,
tenths up. Budbo 7.5 tenths up. He can get into the 14s here. Top 5 maybe for him. Yes, P5, 14.5.
Yeah, fantastic lap there by Budbo, just putting himself in that little gap that there was between Jaden and Titan. The two of them had a few attempts to play with there. Looking elsewhere, there is a yellow flag at the moment in set 2. That's just Mozza who went off on his hot lap.
Yeah, Arrow is at the end of Sector 1 and is going to be presented with a considerable amount of traffic. There are 5 cars in front of him on the track in the Ferrari. Currently sat with a 16.1. So he'll be looking to make huge improvements then. Through this tricky part of the track, down the hill into Aquaminerale. Aquaminerale. He's 4 tenths to the good. Only going to be good enough to get him at 1 position at present. He's going to have to push hard through Sector 3. Plenty of traffic to navigate through.
Yeah,
One Alpha Tauri in front of him.
Ready.
Axe has decided to have... As Arrow does indeed invalidate and makes huge contact. And he's out. Crashed into the back of a previously mentioned Alpha Tauri. And that's Arrow out of the session after invalidating,
and
crashed into the back.
Penalty, 5 grid place penalty for Budbo as well. He was P5. That's going to drop him down considerably.
Oh, and that wasn't on Budbo.
Yeah, I think that's harsh on Budbo there. Budbo was always coming into the pits, but Centrix has pulled out of his lap, so he will not be improving in this qualifying session. So now all eyes turn to the likes of JG, who is just coming out the final corner to start his final lap of the session, but Luxury is currently on a lap at the moment, just coming through Sector 2 at Piratella.
Yeah, a couple of hundredths to the good.
Keep an eye on him at the moment. He's going to be pushing. He doesn't need much to get pole here. He's only 0.03 of a second behind, as you see Charisma retire in the pits. P12 will be his best lap of the day. Just ahead of Luxury, there is an Alpine. I believe that's Michael Louis on a lap, but I don't believe he's improving. So Luxury will be the first one to keep an eye on.
Oh, he
loses the rear end massively there. And that's going to surely cost him. Will it cost him pole? Well, he does improve, but only marginally. It definitely costs him pole, though. That must have cost him a couple of attempts at least there.
Yeah, JG, though, in the Ferrari, just about to start Sector 3, down the hill then, towards the downhill braking zone. 2 left-handers to go. Over a tenth up as he started Sector 3. What can the Ferrari man do? Doesn't lose the back end on the drag race to the line now. It's a 1:14.1 he's looking for. It's a 13.9 for the Ferrari man. JG goes fastest. Provisional pole for him.
Yeah, Ferrari's home circuit as well. Imola is absolutely the home of the Scuderia, and it looks like they're going to have a man on pole because Jaden Lomax backed out of his lap. Ultra Titan is going slower. We see Ollie has jumped up to P5 there. Good lap from the Red Bull. Elsewhere, Billy and Penguin still on a lap, but he's 6 seconds down, so he won't be improving. And I believe that is everyone. So it looks like at the home of the Scuderia, we're going to have a Ferrari on pole position.
Superb lap that from JG. Looked pretty good with a sector to go, but he pulled plenty of time. He pulled another 10.5 in the final sector in the Ferrari. Superb showing from that that prancing horse. Ultra Titan is still on a lap. No, he's coming back in. And yeah, that's your lot.
She wrote.
That's your lot. Right.
So interestingly, the two that we hyped up massively.
Do something, mate. Hand over to you.
No worries. Interestingly, the two that we hyped up so massively at the start of that session in Axe and Ritzy both seem to be choosing to do a last to first challenge in this race. So Those two will start on the back row of the grid, but there is your leaderboard. You see that five place grid penalty for Budbo, very costly for him. We'll wait and see what happens moving forward, just to double check there's not going to be a restart or anything like that. But just reading the chat at the moment, Budbo saying he had run out of fuel and was all the way off track, and saying that Arrow was at fault for that, whereas Arrow saying he was literally parked on the exit, so I'm sure that will be dealt with by the stewards moving forward.
Yeah, one to look at for sure. We were on board, obviously. We saw the collision, so it'd just be interesting to get the both POVs from both drivers. Oh my
well,
word!
there is definite rain.
Oh my word, JG, GB.
You're having a good night tonight,
Having a
mate.
good night tonight, aren't I? Yeah. I tell you what, there's plenty of aqua minerale on the track.
There certainly is, and yeah, this might spice things up a little bit here.
Well, it's full wet.
I'm almost wondering. Yeah, I'm almost wondering whether this was maybe strategic from Axum Ritzy, whether they just decided not to set a lap because they didn't know what the race was going to be. Because I don't know if they'll have selected a setup or anything, but Ultra Titan in the chat with the weather forecast saying heavy rain to light rain to cloudy to light rain. So we're getting almost everything here. We just don't quite have the snow. But yeah, it's certainly gonna be one for your weathermen today. You've got to be sticking your hand out from the box on the side of the pit lane throughout the race, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And let's, whilst it's doing this, and while the guys are getting their subs, let's have a little bit of fun with this then, GB. So we'll have an over/under on maximum number of pit stops. So I think maximum number of pit stops tonight is going to be 5. What do you think?
You know what? I will probably say that that's about right. I'd say if it's gonna be over or under, it would be under, and it'd literally be 4.
4. Okay.
But
And then we'll go a little
I
bit more fun and have under/over on cars to finish in these treacherous conditions. You go first this time.
ooh. See, looking at the grid we have 5 reserves tonight, but they're all very capable reserves. So I'm gonna say 16. I think I have faith in the grid tonight. Yeah.
Okay, good. I will go 15 then.
Let's see
I
how
think
this
if we've got a
goes.
couple of quick drivers at the back as well, that might force people into some unforced errors.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth noting on the grid then that 5th place penalty has dropped Budbo all the way down to 11th. So after such a good qualifying from the AlphaTauri, he finds himself outside of the top 10. Looking at it at the moment, all drivers seem to be going for intermediates, apart from one, Craig Conley, starting on the wets, it seems. So potentially a bit of a gamble going in with the McLaren down in P15.
Quite possible. Yeah, quite possible. Halo, I think that should be fixed now, hopefully. Zampa, thank you so much for the 100 bits. He's also mentioned another race prediction, Emu Masterclass in the wet with a Charisma podium.
Yeah.
Not GB. Did you say GB or not GB?
Let's see. Can we hear me?
Should be able to hear you. I think I've got everything turned up as it should be.
Oh yeah, we can hear me.
It was probably me, Halo, that was just a little bit away from my mic. Take it away, GB.
Yeah, we're waiting for the 5 red lights here in Imola. And we go racing, no glitches this time, we're straight underway. Look at everyone sliding as they try and get away off the grid. It's treacherous conditions here in Italy, and looking down the grid, seeing if there's any carnage. At the moment, we're going side by side towards turn 1, but JG will hold on to the lead. Halo is out, there's a spin in the Red Bull in the background, that's Ollie gone round. And, well, we're already down 1 driver at the moment. Ollie drops right to the back. Michael Louis is struggling for grip further back as well. But out at the front, JG holds the lead. Luxury in second. Ultra Titan in third. Centrix in fourth.
It's only a
But
virtual safety car, but we have lost a driver, and there are 4 drivers with 5-second penalties already. 5 drivers with 5-second penalties already. Good grief.
yeah, lots of collisions under the VSC, I believe, at a guess there. But yeah, there you could see how treacherous the conditions are, and I'd have to hazard a guess that perhaps it's on the switch over between wets and inters being quickest, and that's why everyone was struggling for grip quite as much as they were. Thankfully, only one driver out. Unfortunate for Halo that is him. We're sorry to see him out after such a strong session from Williams there, but
Yeah.
yeah, like I say, the VSC is out. Gives us a chance to have a look at the positions gained at the moment. Nuki Boy and Axe are your two biggest beneficiaries from that start. With Axe, I mean, we're predicting him to do well in this race. He's up 5 places to P15 as we go green flag racing yet again. Don't believe anyone picked up a drive through there, so very well done by all the drivers. But yeah, your big winners, Axe and Nuki Boy at the moment, they're gaining lots of positions.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably it is an intermediate track at present. I don't see any puddles on the racing line. But 3 of the top 4 drivers with that 5-second penalty, that's going to impact us when we do get to the point where this crosses over back to a dry track again.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see there on your timing screen, Nuki Boy and Ollie into the pits. They're making pit stops. I believe they'll be sticking with the exact same tyres. In terms of what tyres everyone is on, everyone did go for the intermediates in the end, so no gambles from anyone on the grid at the moment. But we're seeing a battle here for P12 between Axe and Arrow. Axe is going to make his way through, going up the hill towards turn 9. And quick progress being made by Ritzy and Axe. They were the back 2 at the start of this race, and by lap 2, they're almost inside the top 10.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Incredible stuff by those two guys, taking advantage of some of the chaos there in the first 2 or 3 corners. And Axe is on the back of Charisma as well. Charisma was overtaken by Ritzy on this lap, and Ritzy has already made 1.4 seconds on him, so maybe he's a bit of a wet weather merchant, Ritzy.
Yeah, quite possibly, and I expect to be seeing him and Axe continue to make their way through. In fact, Axe is probably going to make the move on Charisma right now. He does round the outside on the pit straight, and he sweeps his way around and up into P11 with a 1.5 second gap to Ritzy ahead. Out at the front, though, worth noting, with all those 5-second penalties, Luxury is in a perfect position right now. Second place, half a second behind the race leader with nearly 2 seconds behind. As he, race leader makes a mistake there. And Luxury just slips through into the lead. JG losing the rear end coming out of Villeneuve, and then Luxury just says, thank you very much, I'll take that position. Up into first place goes the Mercedes. Not the ideal start for the Ferrari there.
No, but still in contention. Still in contention, even with the 5-second penalty. This weather will mean that, as he loses the front end, it looked like then. Coming through Aquaminolari.
Yeah, he's almost in the old school Ferrari, which had understeer and oversteer at the same time there. But yeah, the very interesting start out at the front. You can see Ritzy now up into 8th place, so he's continuing to make ground and is very much with this front pack at the moment. But thankfully, only one driver out so far in this race, but the weather has certainly caused chaos, as you see.
2 Haas go round. The Haas, Mozart and Billy and Penguins come together in the penultimate turn, take each other round, and that, thankfully, they were ghosted there, actually, because they span into the middle of the track, and there could have been some huge problems for drivers coming through after them.
Yeah, there'll certainly be some stern words over at Haas. They won't quite have the Fox Smash My Door from Gunter Steiner anymore, but certainly the team leaders will not be very happy with the 2 drivers coming together there.
Absolutely. A mistake from Jaden Lomax into turns 1 and 2 meant that Centrix has made the pass. He now moves up into P4. Luxury not managing to shake JG yet either in the Ferrari. Ferrari now settling into this race with a 1.7 second gap behind him to the Alfa Romeo of Ultra Titan, means that he can focus on the car in front and not worry too much about the car behind, GB.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just keeping an eye on the battle at the moment between Axe and Codzilla. The McLaren has the AlphaTauri try to go up the inside into turn 14, and he's going to try and make the move. They leave each other space, and Axe makes the move up into 7th place now. A 2-second gap ahead of him to the top 6 pack, which Ritzy has attached himself to the back of at the moment, but very good progress on the two of them. P19 and 20, all the way up to P6 and 7 within 5 laps.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Incredible stuff from those two. We're seeing Jaden now on the back of Centrix, down that long pit straight, down towards turn 1, has a quick look at the inside, decides to back out. A wise decision in wet conditions, but does seem to get a run on him.
Wide.
Oh, back end comes out from Centrix. He's going to make the move down in the inside. He does. Jaden Lomax does take P4 from Centrix. Those two guys swapping positions based on errors, and actually Ritzy gets through Centrix as well.
Yeah, Ritzy just profiting massively from that there. He spotted the opportunity and took it with both hands up into 5th place and all over the back of the Williams already. And well, this move is going to be coming sooner rather than later, I feel, at the moment. Ritzy absolutely flying in these damp conditions. We're still on lap 5 at the moment. There's a bit of a gap ahead of Jaden to the podium. But this move is certainly coming sooner rather than later. And it might be now as Ritzy gets a better exit out of turn 14 and 15. Coming down the hill towards the Ravazzi. He's going to be on the inside when they come to the braking zone. And he sweeps down the inside up into P4. But Jaden's not having enough of it yet. He's going to try and dive it back down the inside there from the Williams. A daring move, and it almost paid off, but he does have to cede the position eventually. But he's not giving up here, Jaden. Alongside Ritzy, they go down towards Tamburello, and he gets himself back up into 4th place. Ritzy, now that he's reaching the higher levels of the drivers, he is realising it's not going to be all his own way as he keeps battling. Big snap of oversteer from the Williams and the Red Bull behind. Ritzy gets himself back into 4th place. And yeah, he's actually having to fight for the positions at the moment, which is what we want to see.
We do indeed, and the interesting thing is, while those battles were taking place, the gap between Ritzy and his teammate Ultra Titan has grown to a massive 4.6 seconds. Ultra Titan now 2 seconds off the back of JG, but JG still managing to keep tabs on Luxury out there in front, so not too bad for him. It just goes to over a second as I say that, as Centrix gets on the grass in P6, ends up Axe overtaking him into P6. Now Centrix down into P7, but Jaden in the Williams picks up 3 seconds, which is his first penalty of the day.
Yeah, you can see the leaders there trading fastest laps. Luxury crossed the lap setting the fastest lap. Then went JG. Now goes Ritzy. And the guys at the front absolutely flying. Ritzy has closed that gap to his teammate by half a second almost. As you see Axe going down the inside of Jaden Lomax. Gets himself up into P5. Nicely done on the brakes there. The Williams, we already saw it a minute ago, isn't going to give it up easily. But I think this time around, Axe has got that move absolutely signed, sealed and delivered, and he is up into P5 and he'll look to try and chase down Ritzy again. It seems to be a little trend of this race so far. The Axe gets past someone and then he starts chasing down Ritzy, and then, well, Ritzy gets past the next car.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it might be a little while before Ritzy goes past the next one as the Haas goes round. It looks like the Haas of Moser. Moser's gone round in the middle of Sector 1. Just a little bit of a hats off to Zampa, by the way. When Halo mentioned that Nuke Boy was doing something, I was quite impressed by Zampa saying that he was dropping bombs. That's the kind of content that we're here for in the chat section, guys. Get involved, because Ritzy's closing the gap under 4 seconds now to his teammate Ultra Titan. Ultra Titan also closing the gap, by the way. That's a couple of tenths to the good for him back to the to the rear of JG.
Yeah, it looks like there might be a move for the lead in a second as well. JG all over the rear of Luxury. He's going to go around the outside, heading into Tamburello. Has to back out of it. Can he get the switchback coming out of the chicane, though? He's right up close to the rear wheel there of the Mercedes, but nothing doing so far. Has to stick with P2, but I think JG starting to feel he has the pace over the Mercedes at the moment. Can he get a better run out the hairpin? Maybe look. No, not quite. He's going to have to wait, but Luxury goes deep. He slides his way through the corner, and now they're alongside, heading up the hill towards turn 9 at Piratella. Nothing doing there. Luxury dumping a bit of battery to keep ahead of the Ferrari, but all this is doing is allowing all of the cars behind them to just close in slightly. As you said, Titan is closing on JG, Axe is closing on Titan, and oh, sorry, actually, Axe has got past Ritzy.
He has indeed.
Into 4th place, I've just realised.
He has indeed. He's made a move at some point during lap 8, so he's managed to get himself up into P4. The gap now. Axe, the champagne cork has been released. The gap is down to 3 seconds, and he's left Ritzy 1.3 seconds behind then on lap 8 of 32 here at Imola for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. It's been a fascinating race so far, GB.
Yeah, there's still so much more to come. We know that the weather is going to change. We've been told it's meant to get cloudy at some point and then go back to rain again. The question will be, will it be dry enough to actually go to slick tyres, or will it just be inters throughout and a damp track? We'll have to wait and see, but one thing that is for certain at the moment, Axe is absolutely mastering these conditions out on track. I say that, he has a massive kick of oversteer. I've got to stop commentating over people. I keep on cursing them. Coming out of Tamburello, he has a massive snap of oversteer. And he's very lucky to keep the car going forward. I'm going to stop spectating you, Axe. I'm going to leave him alone. I'm going to look at someone else.
The fact that it was halfway through your sentence was...
You can hear the exact moment I realise what I've done there to Axe, but we'll leave him be for now. I'll go and look at someone else instead.
Well, we're going to jump on board with JG real quick as they go through that chicane. Is he going to get a... That might have been a warning there for Luxury. He seemed to take all 4 tyres off track on the exit of the chicane. 2 tenths in it then for JG as they go down to the last 2 turns. That was both, looked like all tyres off track again for Luxury. Snap of oversteer for JG, though. That's going to prevent him from getting a really good run at Luxury, is it? Or is it? They head down the pit straight towards turn 1. Luxury goes defensive. Good defensive work from him. Utilising all the track that's available to his disposal.
Yeah, really good work there by Luxury. Just a masterclass in defensive driving, really, there from the Mercedes. Puts his car right in the middle of the track, makes it awkward to go outside or inside, and holds on to the position further back. I'm looking at a battle with Jamie Dwyer and Craig Conley. They're going into turn 1. Craig's going to send it up the inside, but backs out. And the Mercedes, well, the reserve Mercedes for tonight, Jamie Dwyer holds on to P13, but it's a bit of a three-way fight at the moment. 2 reserves versus a full-time driver. And Charisma just waiting at the moment, just biding his time in 15th. And I'm sure he will be there ready to profit if there are any mistakes from the guys ahead of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we've just been having a quick look at those guys, interesting that Ultra Titans dropped an extra second off the back of JG and now has Axe for company. 2 tenths down towards those final 2 turns. Are we going to see him go around the outside? Axe, he does. He makes a move around the outside, just about manages to make it stick on track, gets the move done as they move onto the pit straight, down towards turn 1. Obviously no DRS to help. But Luxury, by the way, Luxury's lost out to JG as they get down to turn 1. So down that home straight, JG has made the move on Luxury. He's been showing some pace the last couple of laps, GB.
He absolutely has, and he gets himself up into the lead of this race at the moment, but he'll be well aware that the AlphaTauri of Axe is going to be hunting him down sooner rather than later. Can the Ferrari hold him off for as long as possible. But brilliant move there from JG, getting himself up into the lead before the braking zone. It was even there. And he's now pulled half a second gap. It's worth noting, I think this rain is certainly getting lighter. You compare it to the start of the race, it is far, far lighter rain.
It looks
And
lighter rain, and it looks lighter in the air as well. The clouds seem to be dissipating quite quickly.
yes, so now the question has to start coming. Can people make these tyres last? Because 11 laps on intermediates, you'd expect them to be able to do probably about half the race distance. But we're only a few laps away from half distance in this race. So if this rain doesn't go off eventually, are people going to have to start making pit stops before the supposed dry period that we're meant to be having?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting crossover period, that's for sure. It feels almost like the perfect weather setup for one of our top tier racers here at WHF. Ritzy, by the way, now close to his teammate, the two Alfa Romeos side by side.
Yellow flag Centrics there.
Oh, gosh, good lord. Ritzy gets past Ultra Titan. Ultra Titan almost collects the back of his teammate, but manages to hold back. It looked like he was letting him through. But then a slight misjudgment in the braking zone looked like it might have cost both the Alfa Romeo drivers. But they've got away with it. And Ritzy has been released to try and close that 1 second gap. 2.2 second gap now to Axe, who is closing in. 1.6 seconds the gap now between Axe and Luxury. Axe, don't forget everybody, started this race in 20th position. Ritzy started this race in 19th position. They find themselves in 3rd and 4th, GB.
Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed while you were saying about that, Centrix had a bit of a moment, I think, on the pit straight. I'm not exactly sure what happened. He doesn't have any damage, but he finds himself now down in 9th place. Unfortunate for the Red Bull driver. Been a bit of an unfortunate race so far for the Red Bulls in general. I'm sure Ollie will be hoping for a safety car at some point in this race to try and recover down from P18 at the moment, following the drama of the first lap. But as you say, we're starting to get something of a five-way fight for the lead here. We've got JG half a second ahead of Luxury, who in turn is 1.5 seconds ahead of Axe, and then 3 seconds back to the two Alfa Romeos. So not much separating our top five. They are certainly the class above at the moment. It started to feel a little bit sorry for Jaden Lomax. I'm not going to go on board with him or anything in fear of cursing him, but he's having a bit of a lonely race at the moment. 5 seconds behind the car ahead and 5 seconds ahead of the car behind. So he's in a bit of a no man's land at the moment. But in P6, for what would be a season's best finish for him, I'm sure he's pretty happy with how it's going so far. As we've got a yellow flag further back, Charisma has gone round on the exit of Tamburello there. He has no front wing, so I wonder if that's contact with another driver potentially, or whether he has just lost the car. But either way, it's a long way back to the pit lane for the Aston Martin.
It really is, yeah. That's not going to serve him particularly well for the remainder of this race. I was just about to say, before Charisma had his moment there, that it might actually be a perfect moment for Jaden. With nobody particularly close behind, nobody particularly close in front. It just means you can get your head down and concentrate on being as consistent as possible and allow the drivers that are a little bit further in front and behind, that are closer to other cars. That's where you're going to find people have incidents. You know, Jaden's only got himself to be accountable to right now, with nobody else in the wheelhouse with him.
Yeah, exactly. And it can be dangerous when you're in that situation. If you might get a bit too comfortable and lose focus. But for the time being, for the Williams, he's done a fantastic job. And right now, if you have a look at the timing screens, look at the top left. JG, 4 tenths ahead of Luxury, who is 2 tenths ahead of Axe. We have a three-way fight for the lead on our hands at the moment. And what can Axe do? You see a big wiggle there through Aqua Minerale for the Mercedes. He's now going to have Axe going side by side with him into the next corner. Can they make it through safely? A little bit of wheel banging. Luxury runs out wide. But they're still, well, they're still side by side heading down towards the Ravazzas. at the moment, but Axe will just get the move done into the braking zone, and Luxury drops down to third place. But that battle there going through Variante Alta has cost them massively, and they are now over a second behind our race leader.
They are a second behind, but I don't see any rain on my screen, GB.
I was about to mention that. I don't see any rain either, and that might be bad news for Charisma, who has just been lapped coming out of the pit lane there, because he's come out on intermediate tyres, and yes, I know he had no front wing, but as you say, no real rain at the moment. There's a lot of spray still coming off the wheels of the cars, but I reckon within a few laps we might be towards dry weather tyres here.
I for sure. I would suggest
Godzilla in the pits.
Dry. Oh, is he making a move? Is he making a move?
He has pitted for hards.
There we go. So, that's one to keep our eye on then. Might be a little bit squirrely for him when he first comes out, but sure, as he comes out sideways out of the pit lane.
Jesus, that was a little bit squirrely for Godzilla there, but it's a bit of a risk taking the hard tyres. I know they are the tyres that will last till the end of this race, but they will also take the longest to get up to temperature. So going early onto the hards while there is still a lot of spray on the track is certainly a risk, but we'll keep an eye on the McLaren, see what he can do. He's certainly losing time at the moment to Mozza. He's lost a few temps in that first sector. But we'll give him a lap and see what sort of times he can do on the hard tyres. Elsewhere at the front, Axe is into the lead of the race, sets the fastest lap as he does so, as JG now having to defend from Luxury. They're going to go side by side into turn 2. Can Luxury go all the way round the outside? Oh, he runs wide. He almost had the move done, but he ran slightly wide onto the grass and drops back down into third place. Brilliant stuff from JG to hold on to second there. And, well, that's allowed Axe to get away. 1.6 seconds in the lead. And now look who's behind him as DRS enabled, Andy.
Yeah, DRS enabled, and Godzilla took 1 second out of Moser in 4 corners. So into the pits, dive some cars.
Yeah,
look at Godzilla. Godzilla went early. Godzilla's done a good job up into P9. And all the drivers in front of him are on intermediate tyres. 16 seconds.
I'd have to say, Godzilla is in a net P7 at least here. He's within a pit stop of Mallard and Budbo. It's whether he can gain enough time to Jaden Lomax for him. Well, actually, I think he will jump Jaden, because Jaden has a 5 seconds, I believe. Unless it's... No, he has a 3 seconds. Sorry, it's Ultra Titan with 5. So, yeah, it's whether Cod can catch enough time to Jaden Lomax to jump him as well in the pit stoppers. Axe sets another fastest lap there and carries on in the AlphaTauri. The rest of the field are in. JG in for a set of mediums. He'll serve his 5 second stop and go penalty. Luxury straps on a set of hards. So very interesting. Ritzy also going mediums. Ultra Titan is in the pits. He will go to... We'll wait and see for it to come up on our timing screens. But, yeah, interesting range of strategies here. For some going hard, some go mediums. And if you're Ollie, who is desperate to catch up to the rest of the field, he is going on softs.
Wow. Big call from Ollie. Now, let's see where Godzilla comes out. There are still a few drivers in the pit lane. There's an Alfa Romeo on the exit, but... Godzilla's going to have the speed. He's up into P6, Godzilla. What a move from him to go early.
Yeah, fantastic stuff by Cod. I think Titan was held up a little bit by his teammate in the pit lane. And then also had his 5 seconds to serve as well. So that's why the McLaren has managed to jump the Alfa Romeo. But fantastic strategy decision by Godzilla there. He has got himself, I think it was the lower end of the top 10 before this crossover period. Now finds himself in 6th place on a tie that will go to the end. And in terms of also another man in the pits, Axe has finally called it a day on the intermediates. He is coming in from the race lead.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get out as well, because Luxury isn't to Ravazza yet. Ravazza 1 and 2.
Stuff. This is a very long pit lane, it is worth noting. He does have to get all the way up to the Qatar Airways sponsored building before he can put the power down, and I think he is going to get jumped here by Luxury and his fellow newbie tonight, Ritzy, by the looks of it. No, just holds on ahead of the Alfa Romeo, so Axe out in second place on the medium tyres, and now Luxury has two very quick drivers to try and hold off.
Yeah, he does. And actually, the fresher, softer compound tyre for Ultra Titan in the Alfa Romeo has allowed him to take P7 from Godzilla. Mallard makes a move on Billion Penguins. We've got Budbo making a move on Arrow as well. So plenty of movement in and around the midfield of this lineup tonight. As we get to lap 18 of 32, the sunshine is out. There are shadows on the track. The track will be warming up all the time now.
Yeah, it's very interesting here because we have heard there might be some more light rain to come at the end of the race. How long we're going to have on these dry tyres, I'm not sure. But this is where it's crucial. What setups are people using? Because we saw a lot of drivers sliding around a lot more than we maybe would have expected in that opening stint of the race. So if we have people on particularly wet focus setups, they may struggle a little bit more here as we see Axe go all the way around the outside on Luxury using the DRS into turn 2 and gets himself up into the lead of the race on those quicker medium tyres there. And he'll look to try and sprint away before Ritzy can follow him through as well.
Speaking
But,
of tyres,
yeah, like I said,
Centrix is still on the intermediate in
what is
P14.
Centrix doing?
He's just about to come around now, and he picks up 3 seconds as well. So I'm assuming he's going to dive into the pits now. No, he carries on.
Centrix,
So,
buddy.
Centrix.
Stick your hand out the car while you're going down the straight, Centrix. You'll see there is no rain, my friend. You're on very much what is now a bone-dry track on these intermediate tyres. I'm assuming it is because his pit crew have made perhaps a mistake. So I'm looking at the tyre life, and his intermediates are only 3 laps old. So I believe he tried to come in for dry tyres, and his team did not give him the right tyre. So he's now just having to sort of see it through, and yeah, he's called it a day there. The tyres on track, which will no doubt hand him a penalty from the stewards. But yeah, unfortunate for the reserve driver there. The tyres saw the race for what has been a bit of a nightmare for Red Bull here tonight.
Yeah, not a good look retiring on track. That's a fact. By the way, whilst we were just looking at that stuff there has been a huge moment out at the front, and it's Axe who has picked up a 3-second penalty for track limits. Now, he's still got a 2-second gap back to Luxury in P2, and is growing that gap all the time. However, that may well come back and bite him if those medium tyres that he's on don't last the course. Luxury might be the quicker car at the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think these next lap or so are absolutely crucial for Ritzy. He simply has to get past Luxury. He can't afford to be 3 seconds behind Axe, who we know is a ridiculously quick driver. Ritzy simply has to get through into second place there and try and chase down that AlphaTauri. Luxury will be probably quite happy with how his race is going at the moment, but any opportunity he can get to try and rob the win away from Axe, I'm sure he'll be there to take it. We're riding along with Ritzy at the moment, see if he can make a move into Tamburello. He's using the DRS, he's going to go up the inside into turn 2 and gets the move done as Luxury has to go across the sausage curbs there. Goes a little bit deep, and I think that's just purely driver error from Luxury. There was no need to go so deep into the corner.
No, absolutely.
And
Ritzy.
Ah, Ritzy, what are you doing, lad?
That seemed
you don't
harsh.
want to get the penalty there.
That seemed harsh, but it is what it is. So now he's got that. He's got that 2.7 second gap. Luxury, obviously, with that massive error in the braking zone, trying to defend against Ritzy. Now that gap for 3 seconds for him. That's going to bring JG back into the picture, I would imagine, in the Ferrari. Time for him to focus up and push towards the back of the Mercedes.
Yeah, well, Luxury is surrounded by medium tyre runners. Everyone in the top 10, apart from himself and Cod, are all on the medium tyres. So he's going to have people around him there. At the moment, big moment there from Ritzy on the exit of the final corner. Loses the rear end. Costs him nearly a whole second there to Axe, I believe. And yeah, huge moment from the Alfa Romeo, but manages to keep it going in a straight line eventually. But yeah, as I was saying, the top 10, all mediums apart from two. And it's just whether this rain will come or not in time to change back to intermediates. If it doesn't, you'd have to say the hard tyre will be the better one to be on by the end.
Yeah, you would have thought so. The sun is still shining. There are no clouds in, well, certainly no big dirty black ones in sight as we go into lap 22. 3 seconds for Mallard. Not
Yeah, we're seeing a
a
lot of
good session for
penalties at
him.
the moment.
Yeah, so
A
quick
lot of
check.
people with 3 seconds or 6 seconds, unless you're Jamie Dwyer, who currently has 17 seconds of penalties. Needs to be careful because I think it's about 30 and you get disqualified from the race. He's got to be
Oh,
careful as Luxury picks up 3 seconds now as well. And that is going to cost him massively. And now he has to beat the guys ahead of him on track, which is certainly going to be a tough task for the Mercedes, as we see Axe now nearly 5 seconds ahead out in the lead.
yeah, it's been a masterclass from Max so far. Top three drivers with 3 seconds of penalties. JG, looking at that, possibly watching the stream, might well be sat thinking 9 laps. It's hammer time. Gonna try and trust and push that Ferrari as hard as he can. 2.2 seconds to the back of Luxury. Luxury, of course, now on the back of Ritzy. 5.8 seconds the gap now from Ritzy to Axe. So Axe has checked out.
Yeah, Luxury has actually cut back up to Ritzy here, so I don't know if Ritzy is struggling with tyre wear, or he's just made a couple of driver errors, or the setup isn't favouring him or something, but Luxury is certainly catching him at the moment. That gap was over a second, it's now half a second. As you see, Jamie Dwyer in the pits, you can see that on your timing screens. He will drop down and go a lap down, more than likely as well. But yeah, Luxury closing up to the back of Ritz here, so we could have a genuine on-track fight for second place, which I'm sure the likes of JG and Jaden Lomax will be rubbing their hands at because they are not far away whatsoever.
Yeah, JG's closing in all the time here. I think the one thing that might... Oh, as
Oh, that was close.
Luxury does get past Ritzy in the end. A couple of quite erratic moves there. I thought we were going to see a couple of bits of fiberglass and carbon fiber fly across the track. But as it
And
happens...
he's almost a second clear already here at Luxury. What's going on with Ritzy at the moment?
Well, I don't see any damage.
I don't.
But yeah, that gap grew very quickly through there. Maybe just a little bit of caution, a little bit of an error. Maybe he just fancied letting Luxury through so he can try and benefit from some DRS. But to benefit from DRS, you've got to stay within a second, and he's verging on the verging on going over that time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I tell you what, he's also verging on having a Ferrari breathing down the back of his neck
He
very,
is.
very soon. JG, 1.1 seconds. Is he going to get inside the DRS? I don't know. I don't think he does this time around. So he won't benefit from the little letterbox in the rear wing opening this time around. But certainly next lap, he is very close to the back. The back light there, you might have seen it, just flashing on the Ferrari. So he is low on battery. But he is definitely closing on this top little group at the moment.
Yeah, interesting for him. Now, obviously, with Axe checking out so much, as it stands on track, JG is currently sat on the second step of the podium with these penalties.
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily need to fight. I think he'll know himself that Axe is too far gone in this race at the moment. As there's a spin in the background there, that's Jamie Dwyer a lap down. Thankfully, not Luxury. I thought for a second I saw the Mercedes and went, oh my god, it's Luxury, but not this time. Jamie Dwyer falls to the back of the grid as he gets overtaken by Charisma in the process. But yeah, one Mercedes in second, one Mercedes in 18th at the moment.
Oh, it's
As
JG.
JG.
Penalties have
3-second time
been
penalty for the
absolutely
Ferrari.
ferocious. Ferocious penalties. Top 4 drivers on 3 seconds then. Ultra Titan and Godzilla too far back for these penalties. Penalties to have too much of an impact on their race with only 7 laps remaining.
Yeah, I think they'll be hoping at this point, certainly Godzilla, who is in a bit of a Lomax no man's land at the moment, he'll certainly be hoping for a safety car or something of the like.
Yeah, for sure.
Further back, we're seeing Arrow and Craig Conley changing positions a little bit. I think Arrow might have had a moment, because there was a brief yellow flag, and then I think he's recovered the position afterwards. Don't believe there was contact between the two of them, and there's no damage on the Ferrari, no damage on the McLaren either. As we see elsewhere, moves are still being made. There's a bit of a freeway fight actually at the moment for 8th place. Budbo, Mallard and Billy and Penguin, 3 of the full-time drivers in the AlphaTauri, Aston Martin and Haas respectively, all battling over P8. And all of them with penalties as well, it's worth noting. Varying time amounts, so Budbo's 6 seconds, F1 Mallard 8 seconds, Billy and Penguin 3 seconds. That man in the Haas is in pole position at the moment to take P8. But yeah, like I say, if there is a late safety car, we only have a few more laps where we could get one, then this could be massive for the people that are keeping it clean and having no corner cutting penalties here.
Yeah, many props to people like Ultra Titan and Godzilla. As we see Ritzy take P2 from Luxury on lap 27 of 32 here at Imola. I think we might see these guys changing positions over the course of the next few laps. JG really in the mix now within DRS range.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also worth noting, Jaden Lomax, their gap is somewhat coming down. It's not coming down rapidly, so I think he would need to pick up the pace a little bit if he wants to be in this fight for second. But that gap was about 4.5 seconds, I think, a minute ago. It's now down to 3.8. So certainly battles going on there. There's, you keep on seeing it on the time screen, Arrow and Craig Conley. Those two keep on battling as well. The battle for 8th place going on. There's a few little groups at the moment. Unfortunately, well, fortunately for Axe, unfortunately for the content side of things, he has absolutely run away with this at the moment. 9.1 seconds clear at the front of the field.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the more that the P2, 3 and 4 battle, that should allow Jaden to kind of begin to reel them in. It's still 3.8 seconds, 3.9 seconds the gap. And of course, he does have that extra 3 seconds of penalties. There was a little moment there. I thought we were going to see a collision between an Alfa Romeo and a Mercedes. We might still see it, but as Luxury makes the move, a little bit of caution shown by Ritzy there into that turn, allowed Luxury to make the move. 9.8 seconds the gap now. 3.5 seconds the gap back to Jaden.
Yeah, I was about to say, look who just appeared in the back of shot as the camera was panning away. Jaden Lomax, 3.3 seconds now. So he's gained half a second at the start of this lap. So he is certainly starting to close in on these guys. And JG is very much part of this conversation as well. He's only half a second back from Ritzy at the moment. So potentially seeing at 3 wide moments if the track is wide enough for it on the pit straight.
Yeah, JG's been racy. JG's been pacey so far tonight. It'll be interesting to see if he can have any impact on this podium, but more importantly, on the second step rather than just the third step, GB.
Yeah, we see them coming down the straight now, and JG is going to do exactly what we said. He pulls out of the slipstream. Luxury might be about to get absolutely dive bombed by 2 cars here. JG backs out of it. Ritzy gets round the outside, has to skip across the curb, and well done, JG, for avoiding that. Gets himself up into 3rd place. Absolutely brilliant reading of the battle there by the Ferrari. He saw that they were going to go too wide, as I see spots of rain, by the way, on the screen, the rain, with
Oh, yeah.
3 laps to go after this one, is starting to fall again, and on tyres that are going to be very worn here. Most people on at least 11 or 12 lap old tyres. You never know, some mistakes could creep in here, certainly, but yeah, JG, brilliant stuff there. Read what was going to happen. He knew Luxury and Ritzy were going to go side by side, and he just backed out of it and managed to get the switchback and get one of those positions, and he's now up into 3rd place, just with the Mercedes ahead of him.
Yeah, I'm doing a little rain dance over here. I want to see an absolute downpour, GB. Let's get some drama into the last 3 laps of this race around Imola. We need to see it. The fans need to see it as Luxury
Oh,
picks
3 second
up
time
another
penalty for
3.
Luxury. Luxury gets another 3 seconds, and that may well have just cost him 2nd place. As speaking of costing him 2nd place, there goes JG up into 2nd in the Ferrari. He gets the move done well before turn 1, but big slide going into the braking zone there. Almost had to cut the corner, it looked like, and I think these conditions are going to get a little bit treacherous for these final couple of laps here.
Yeah, it's going to make it real spicy. That's what we like, though. Ritzy currently sat in, as we can see the raindrops on the track now as well. Yellow flag in sector 1. We've got a Red Bull.
Back. That's
Ollie getting out of the way, I think.
Yeah, Ollie getting out of the way. He has pit for intermediates, Ollie, which is interesting to note, but we saw a few slides going on from that lead pack there. I think it was Luxury had a moment. Jamie Dwyer picks up another penalty in this race. He is collecting penalties like the Pokemon at the moment. As Jaden Lomax, no! The Williams is out! Oh, he's had such a fantastic race in the Williams, and he's binned it on the exit of Aqua Minerale, as the Aqua Minerale is absolutely pelting it down. Now, there are puddles on track, and that is so unlucky for the Williams, man. I'm assuming he's just lost the grip or put the power down a bit too early, and he's gone off into the wall on the right-hand side. It's his 3rd DNF in 5 races, and that is so unfortunate because he's driven incredibly well tonight, as there is another yellow flag. I think that's Jamie. Just Jamie, yeah. We have Ritzy in the pits. Ritzy in the pits for intermediate tyres here. Now, this is a gamble. This is a real gamble with a lap and a bit to go. He is into the pits, as is... Who else is in? Charisma in 17th place, but Ritzy, I mean, it is definitely intermediate conditions, but the question is, can you close a pit stop gap in 2 laps?
Yeah, it's a huge call from the Alfa Romeo. His Alfa Romeo teammate is in front of him, 11.8 seconds as it stands, as he gets through Sector 1 into Sector 2.
There are more people pitting as well. F1 Mallard comes in, serves his 5-second stop-go, puts on intermediates. Mozza in the Haas comes in, gets rid of his hard tyres, I'm assuming, for a set of intermediates. Yes, he does. Craig Conley in as well, doing the exact same thing. We got a spin at turn 1. That's WHF Arrow. He is on dry tyres, so it is definitely not a dry track anymore. But we are entering the final lap, and Axe has stayed out. He is still on the medium tyres on what is a sodden track at this point. So he comes through Tamburello, the corner where Ayrton Senna tragically lost his life back in 1994. In fact, it was his the crashes on that race weekend in 94 that caused them to build these chicanes instead at Tamburello and Villeneuve. And look how slow the AlphaTauri is having to take it. And look how quick Ritzy is catching that gap. 3.9 seconds to his teammates. I think it might be a gamble too much. I don't think he's going to quite catch Luxury and JG. But he's certainly going to recover to the position he was in when he pitted, by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's looking that way. Yeah, the 15-second gap's going to be far too much to pull back in half a lap between Ultra Titan and JG.
Yeah, Billion Penguin comes into the pits here from 8th place. He's going to strap on a set of intermediates as well. So you see F1 Mallard go past Arrow, who spins it going into the Ravazza. Locks the rear on the damp track, goes round. And that is him in P10. Right behind him, actually, is Axe, who is about to come round the final corner. He has dealt with the conditions expertly today. And as he comes up to the line, Axe goes from last to first in the AlphaTauri. He wins in Imola. And what a race from that man right there. Meanwhile, Luxury is absolutely crawling round at the moment, but he is going to come home on track in second place, but I believe is going to be overtaken on penalties by JG. Luxury crosses the line second, but gets dumped down into third place. JG comes in second at Ferrari's home track. Rizzi doesn't quite gain enough to gain any more positions. He crosses the line in fourth. His teammate Ultra Titan will be fifth. A really strong day there for Alfa Romeo with two cars in the top five. Godzilla will be behind in sixth place, but he has Budbo just behind him, both of them on dry tyres. Can they get across the line safely without binning it? It looks like they will. Godzilla will cross the line with no penalties in sixth. There's Budbo in seventh. It'll be F1 Mallard to take eighth place. He took the risk on the intermediates. It didn't. Well, I don't think he lost any places, but he certainly didn't gain many from it.
Yeah, it was worth a gamble, I think, from Ritchie, because you never know what's going to happen with those top three runners that didn't bother pitting for the Inters. You don't know how bad it's going to get. Monkey, good evening to you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you enjoyed the race. It's been a little bit quiet as chat, but I think people have just been enjoying the race, my friend. So welcome in. Hope you're having a most magnificent Sunday. GB, it was a fascinating race from start to finish. What with the chaos that happened at turns 1 and 2, which really shook everything up.
Arrow, don't do that. Jesus. Gives me a heart attack every time he does it, because I have nightmares that he's going to miss the finish line and crash out just before it, and he almost did that. But yeah, like you say, incredible race, strategy-wise, fascinating from start to finish, and as JG has just said in the chat, that was not fun on that last lap. Luxury saying that we were on skates, and it certainly looked like that. Ritzy took the gamble, like you say, didn't quite pay off, but he still managed to get the position he pitted from. But also worth saying to Axe, through his dominance, he has won by 20 seconds and lapped everyone outside the top 10 as well.
Wow. Yeah, you did call it at the beginning of the race, GB, to be fair. You did say that Axe for the win in what was a very damp Imola. So it is Axe in the AlphaTauri who goes from 20th to 1st to win the race with the fastest lap, by the way, as well. JG in the Ferrari is second. Completing our podium, it's FRC Luxury in the Mercedes in third. We've then got Ritzy in the Alfa Romeo, followed by his teammate Ultra Titan in 4th and 5th, with Godzilla in the McLaren, great drive from him, in 6th. Budbo in the AlphaTauri 7th, Mallard 8th in the Aston Martin, with the Haas of Billy and Penguin currently sitting in 9th. The Ferrari of Arrow does indeed finish 10th, with Mozza in the Haas 11th. 12th and 13th for the two Alpines, it's Michael Luis and Nuki Boy, with Craig Conley in the second McLaren P14. Red Bull of Ollie J in 15th, with 16th, it's SSR Charisma in the Aston Martin. The Mercedes of Jamie Dwyer, after all those penalties, in 17th. Jaden Lomax, of course, did DNF with 3 laps to go, as did Centrix, Early Doors, and SSR Halo was the first of our drivers to crash out of this race at Emilia-Romagna. What a race. What a race. Well done to all the drivers.
Worth also noting on our predictions at the start, most pit stops was 4 in the end, so I managed to hit nail on the head with that one, and I think we had 17 finishes in the end, off the top of my head, so a very good showing from everyone tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, I've got no idea who finished where. Who finished third?
Third place was Luxury. I think we've got basically the top 5, apart from Axe, who is going to eat, which I don't blame him after that race. But yeah, we've got the rest of the top 5 has joined us. We'll start. What was your going under?
Well, let's start with Luxury, because I've got the Mercedes on screen.
No props. Third place Luxury. It was second on track, but third with those track limit penalties costing you in the end. You
Yikes.
said in the chat that it felt like you were on skates for that final lap. Uh, just talk us through how difficult that final part of the race was.
I wouldn't say the final part was difficult, but it was just all the rain parts were very difficult because my wings are very, very separated, let's say. So the back would just never stay during the rain. That's why my pace was way better on the hards during the dries. But yeah, the track limits too, they were disgusting. But in the end, third isn't bad, but we'll have to see what if I caused any death earlier, which I don't think I did actually. So I think I should be fine.
Fingers crossed you will be and you'll hold on to you. What was a hard fought podium there? You had some very quick drivers around for you, but it's a very welcome turn in form for you, I'm sure, because this season hasn't exactly been what you were hoping, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's been unexpectedly terrible.
I suppose the good news, luxury, is that we're not at the halfway mark yet. We reach the halfway point next week as we head to Portugal to tackle Portimao, another interesting track with plenty of elevation. How are you fancying that track?
I actually really like that track. I don't know if I'm very fast around it, but I like driving it, and I don't think I can. I think I can manage getting no penalties there. But the rest of the calendar, I only see Coda, Belgium, and maybe Bahrain where I could be good, but everywhere else, I don't think so.
Wow. Okay, so a little bit of a look into the future from you. But as they say in sport, take every game or every match or every drive as it comes. Don't look too far out in front, my friend. And I'm sure you'll be able to tackle Portimao next week and then move on to the second half of the season. But well done for your podium tonight. Congratulations on it, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
JG, we'll come to you. You were the man who inherited second place in the end after those penalties. You did a fantastic job to stick yourself on pole position to get the extra points there. I don't actually remember who got fastest lap, but yeah, really good performance. Yeah, I'd assume it'd be Axel if anyone, but
It was.
yeah, just talk us through your race. It was a really good performance from you there.
Yeah, so starting with qualifying, I didn't expect to put it on pole, my first pole in WHF, so I'm happy with that. But in the race, as soon as I saw it was raining, I don't know, I didn't like that at all. And it wasn't the cleanest of starts, was it? I don't know what happened. I'll have to watch a preview of me and Centrix, but yeah. Anyway, once it was raining, just kept my head down, tried to follow the faster drivers like Ritzy, Luxury, and whoever else it was, and just make the right moves. I made some unbelievable moves, if I say so myself, on well, both Ritzy and Luxury. But yeah, I just kept my head down the whole time, just went as fast as I could, and that was that. Got a nice P2 after penalties. And
Yeah, for sure. For sure, it was it was a good race to watch. That battle, Axe had obviously checked out way down the road, and the battle between yourself, Luxury, and Ritzy was certainly one that we enjoyed watching for the majority of the second half of the race. GB, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a really good battle between you two, and I think one of the moves you may be referencing with the really impressive ones was when you managed to get past Ritzy as Luxury and Ritzy battled into turn two, that first chicane. You just read that brilliant. Like,
it was beautiful, man. It was beautiful.
yeah, you that move in particular was one we caught it on stream, and you read what was going to happen miles before it happened by braking early and just getting the switch back on them both. And yeah, really top stuff from yourself there. Looking forward to next week, as we've said, Portimao next. Are you here for that race? And if so, what are your thoughts about that circuit?
Yeah, definitely be. I'd say it's one of my weaker tracks, but I'd say Imola was one of my weaker tracks till today. So we'll see what happens. Put in some hours of practice and hopefully another podium.
Yeah, well,
Nice
that's going to
indeed.
say congratulations, mate. It was a pleasure watching you drive tonight. We didn't see a great deal of acts out in front. We were absolutely locked in and focused on your battle
Verstappen.
with those two guys. He was very much of a Verstappen tonight, from last to first. But congratulations to you on P2, and we're looking forward to seeing you doing battle again in the red
Thank you
prancing
very
horse machine next week.
And then we'll come to our expert weatherman of the day, I think it has to be said. Ritzy, that was a daring call at the end, and it so nearly paid off. You're only a few seconds back from those two ahead of you. Just talk us through the thoughts of making that late call on the start of the penultimate lap to go to the Inters.
I mean, I don't know. I was bored. I didn't want to stay behind. I could have had a P3 if I just stayed behind, but that would have been boring, so I just decided to pit. It was fun. If the track was a bit longer, if there was like one more lap, I could have gotten them, but I definitely prefer doing that than staying behind and just watching them drive instead of trying something new.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was. We actually thought it was a bold move because under that kind of rain, you never know how quickly the rain's going to come down and what it's going to do to the drivers out in front. Still, we were sticking on the slicks. But yeah, you were at least picking up half a second, if not a second, in each corner on that final lap. It was that was a pleasure to watch as well, by the way.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I was pitted the lap that the rain started falling, but Axe talked me out of it, so I just decided to go next lap.
Yeah, it was decent, mate. It was decent. Well done. Portimao next week. How's that looking for you?
I have no clue if I'm gonna be here, and I'm probably gonna do like 5 laps of practice, so we'll see when we get there.
Okay, well that's easy. Do you like the track anyway?
It's a fun track to drive. I feel like we're gonna get like 15 seconds worth of penalties or something like that, but hopefully not, so we'll see.
I'll tell you what, nobody can have more penalties tonight. I don't think Jamie Dwyer's in here, but Jamie picked up an absolute stink load of penalties tonight. He was carrying the can for the most part this evening. But well done on your P4, mate. Congratulations on that, and look forward to hopefully seeing you next week at Portimao.
All right, thank you, man.
And last but not least, we'll come to the second Alfa Romeo. Finished off a very strong weekend for you guys. And, well, I think, Titan, you're starting to earn yourself the title of Mr. Consistent with 3 P5s, a P6, and a P8 this season. You're constantly there, constantly picking up the good points, and I think you're going to be potentially moving up to third in the standings tonight as well. So, really good job from yourself. Just talk us through your race, because you said earlier it was only you and Cod that didn't get any penalties.
Yeah, it was only me and him that didn't get any track limit penalties, which was quite nice in the end. But yeah, my race was pretty boring, to be honest. I didn't get that much time to battle anyone. I was just slower than JG, Luxury, Ritzy, and obviously Axe, and I think even Jaden. So when I fell back from the pits from the penalty from the beginning of the race, it was just not enough pace to be able to get close or to push enough. So yeah, I got quite lucky with getting fifth in the end, I think.
Well, I think that's all down to the consistency, though, and just maintaining that, lack of penalties. That it can mean such a big difference when it comes to league racing. Not picking up those 3-second track limit penalties. Did you have any warnings?
I had 2, and I think the last one I got within the last 5 laps.
Yeah, so pretty consistent in terms of your driving. So from a racecraft point of view, obviously, you didn't have much contact with anybody throughout the course of the race.
No.
But I think I said it. I actually said it about Jaden before Jaden crashed out. Sometimes when you're in that position, it just allows you to focus on just being consistent, and it showed throughout the course of the race for you because you didn't pick up any penalties.
Yes, quite nice. Just need to get quicker.
I know how that feels, mate. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Just in terms of next week, then we look towards Portugal and Portimao. What are your thoughts on going there?
It's an interesting track. I think we'll get a lot of nice battles. I've got a weird confidence there. We're just battling at any corner, which is nice and fun. outside of even some corners that no one would. So yeah, it should be nice and fun battles. Hopefully, got pace to do them and have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it's all about, mate. League racing's about
Yeah.
enjoying yourself, having some fun, and making passes and defending when you can. So well done on your finish tonight, mate. Congratulations
Thank you, mate.
On your P5 and congratulations mostly on not picking up any track penalties. Well done.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll say a special word as well. You mentioned it there with Jaden. He got so unlucky in that race. I feel I didn't see the exact reason for his DNF, but it looked like he just lost it coming out of Aqua Minerale.
Coming out of what? Aqua what? Aqua Minerale. I've managed to say it correct for the first time tonight.
but yeah, gutting for him. He did a fantastic job tonight, and certainly deserved to at least be up there with the guys we've had in the party. But yeah, fantastic race overall, wouldn't you say?
You there, GB?
Is he?
Oh, hello.
There you go. I was going to say, hello?
Yeah, we're still here, mate. We're still here.
Anyway, next week, what is it? Portimao next week for Tier 1. We'll be back for that. I hope you're with me, Andy. I'm not sure.
Do you know what, mate? I've got absolutely no idea. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But yeah, I've really enjoyed tonight. Thank you so much for your co-coms. I've really enjoyed being in the comms box with you yet again to watch another fascinating and enthralling race.
Yeah, been absolutely brilliant. And like we say, we'll be back for Tier 1 next week at Portimao. Tier 2, I believe, is Monza. So we're back in Italy next Saturday at 9 p.m. I'd assume it'll be Arrow on comms, potentially with Ollie as well. But yeah, in the meantime, I believe that is us for tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We really appreciate you being here and all your comments in the chat. I don't know what the conversation is that's going on right now, but however, it looks intriguing. I'm pretty sure that will be good. We're off to raid Capriso, so stay tuned and let's go.